Alrighty. G'day, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the CoolDadCollective podcast, a podcast that is for dads by dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood. And we are coming at you on a very, very, very rainy Wednesday afternoon. I always find I just find it really hard to get motivated when it's raining. If I'm completely honest, as soon as there's a little bit of rain, I'm just kind of like, can I just go home and, I don't know, just watch TV or something? But then, you can't do that because as soon as you do that, nothing gets done if nothing gets done. So we're out here, getting it done, recording the podcast, chatting about the week that was, talking about everything that's gone up, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. But it's good to be back doing a solo episode. I feel like the solo episodes are very, it's nice to sort of like, I don't know, just find a little bit of consistency with the solo episodes, given like it means I can kind of reflect on the things that I spoke about in the last podcast and then speak about how I've actioned them and how I'm trying to be a better dad and trying to be a better person for myself and stuff like that. So, we're just out here getting it done. So firstly, I hope you're having a fantastic week. I hope, life's been good to you. I hope life is not handing you too much of a shit hand. I hope there's a couple of aces in the hand. Maybe maybe you got a straight or something like that. But if you have got sort of like a 2 and a 4 in your hand, there's always another hand. There's always the next hand, and that's just the way the world works sometimes. So it's been a good last sort of week. We've sort of been last time I sort of did a solo podcast, I was talking about how Summer, my youngest daughter, she was sort of struggling a little bit with her asthma. I am very happy to say that we are way on top of that now. So we've kind of gotten to a point now where, she's consistently had her preventer puffer for a while. So that's now something that I guess we've learnt from. We need to be aware of when winter starts. When winter starts, flu season starts. Even though it's not really even the flu, we just got to be on top of it a little bit earlier. So sorted that out. Our house is no longer a cesspool of sickness, which is always really nice. I feel like it's one of those things where I think when you're sick, or when your family's sick or something like that, you always sort of take for granted life when you're not sick. So like, for example, life obviously just keeps going. And when you're busy, you're just like, holy shit, it's just so fast and blah, blah, blah. And it is really like hectic to sort of keep everything in line. But then when sickness sort of comes into it, you really realize how like you sort of take for granted how you being like a fully functional, well person makes your day so much easier. Likewise with your kids, when your kids aren't sick, I guess when your kids aren't sick, they're a little bit easier to, I guess, navigate through life. So, for example, being sick is never nice. And as an adult, I guess we can sort of like appreciate that when I'm sick, I'm grumpy. I'm a bit of a piece of shit when I'm sick, because you're just sick of it. You're over it. You're like, I feel like shit. I don't want to do this. And then, when you've got kids who feel that way and they don't really know how to sort of deal with feeling like shit all the time, and then they sort of put up a little bit of a argument to everything else. For example, we've had issues with getting in the shower. So getting the kids in the shower has just been a fucking nightmare. And then, the great thing about that, or the conundrum around that, is you get them in, they start having fun, and then you can't fucking get them out. So, there's little things like that where just things become a little bit, I just feel like there's more. Everything becomes an argument. Everything becomes a slight argument. And you sort of have to take into consideration that obviously your kids they're not trying to be dicks, but they are being dicks. And then you have to not be a dick to your kids because you know that they're mad because they're sick and you're an adult and you have control over your emotions. And then it's just a revolving door. So it is nice that everyone's back to normal now. I say back to normal, but everyone's well now. My eldest daughter Sky is she's almost halfway through her first year of prep. She's growing just mentally, emotionally, intellectually, physically. She's getting taller, and she's just getting to a point where she's becoming like a little human. Well, not becoming, but she is a little human. Like it's cool. You can have mad chats with her now. She's understanding things, which has a couple issues in its own. For example, she's very aware when Kia and I are sort of bickering a little bit and fighting a little bit. Nothing bad, but just when stress sort of builds up, and then you're more aware then if you're fighting with, if me and Kia are having a bit of an argument, you're sort of very aware that there's a little pair of ears around that aren't just listening, but are actually interpreting what's going on. And then you have to be a little bit more cautious about what you're saying because, you know, we all get heated sometimes and Kia and I are no different to that. And sometimes we say things that we absolutely don't mean and we shouldn't, like nothing too bad, but, you know, like saying just little things about like, I don't know, just how we're feeling or, you know, things like that that they may interpret as a little bit different than, you know, what we're actually saying. But I think we've all been there before, you know, maybe it's, I think, what was it? I think Kia called me, Kia said, why are you being such an asshole? And to be fair, I was being a very big asshole, but obviously not realizing that Skylar was in the next room listening to the conversation. And, you know, we obviously patch things up because that's what we do. We get frustrated and then we work things out because we love each other because she's my favorite human being in the world. And we sort of come out of it unscathed, but then you got to deal with the fact that like your kids have heard you arguing and things like that. So it is cool. Like, I guess it's like positives and negatives with the kids getting older. So that's really cool. But she's obviously becoming less of like, I guess less, how do you say it? Like not defiant. She's never been defiant, but everything's less of an effort. You know, you can just be like, hey, doll, we're going to go to the park. Do you want to put your shoes on, get some clothes on and grab your water bottle? And it's like, yep, I'll do that. And then you can just leave her and then meet her at the front door and she's there ready to go. That part of it is so cool. That part of it's so great. But I still have a 3-year-old who needs a lot of attention, a lot of help, a lot of stuff like that. So, you know, we're in that sort of balancing era of parenting at the moment, but we can kind of see like, it sounds silly, but you can kind of see not the light at the end of the tunnel, but you can see that sort of where we're moving into like a different phase of parenting now. And it's really funny. You know, people always say like, oh, it's so sad. Like, don't you feel like it's so sad that they're getting older? And yes, there are elements where I'm like, oh, they're not my baby anymore. They're a little child. But, you know, there's little things that you just like, fuck, no, I do not. I'm not going to miss that. Like, for example, nappies. Summer's pretty much out of nappies now. She only wears nappies to go to bed. She wears like pull-ups to go to bed. And even still, like we're changing the nappy in the morning, there's like nothing in there. And she's getting up early in the morning and, you know, going to the toilet herself. And, you know, people are kind of like, oh, they're out of nappies. Like, oh, it's so sad. It's the end of an era. It's the end of this. Aren't you sad? Fuck no, I'm not sad, dude. No, I'm not sad that I don't have to change pooey nappies anymore. Yeah, no, anyone who's like, oh, I'm going to miss changing pooey nappies. No, dude, no. I'm so happy my kids are toilet trained. I am so happy that I don't have to. I don't care that it's like, oh, this is the last time you'll change. I hope it's the last time I change a nappy. I hope I never have to change a nappy until maybe it's like, you know, my grandchildren and stuff like that. Like I just, changing nappies sucks. It just does, right? So it's pretty cool going into that next phase of parenting, and it's very exciting. So if you're sort of get to that point where, you know, your kids are sort of like 4 and you can start to see them and things start to get a little bit easier, I promise you it definitely does get a little bit easier. But that being said, there are obviously new challenges that arise. And, you know, if you've gotten this far in parenting, I promise you all the challenges that pop up now, you can kind of deal with them. I feel like if you've gotten to that age where you've gotten them through, you know, the tantrums, you've gotten them through the nappies, you've gotten them through the sleep regressions, you've gotten them through everything else, as much as it is hard, it's just nowhere near as physically exhausting. So if that is you, I hope these words really, I guess, bring a bit more positivity. If you're at your wit's end with the tantrums and stuff, I promise it gets a lot easier. And like I said, not that it's easy, but it does get easier. It is so much easier when you can say, hey, I can see that you're sad. What's wrong? And instead of just continuously crying, they go, this is the problem. And you go, oh, is that the problem? Let's fix the problem. Sounds great. Less tears, less crying, less tantrums, because we fixed the problem, because they articulated the problem to you, and now you know what to do. So that's always a positive. And, you know, that also comes from hard work, trying to make sure they're aware of how they feel and things like that. But yeah, so life's good, man. Life's really good. And I did want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, just a couple things, mainly to do with me and how I'm feeling and stuff like that. I do like to go into it because I feel like being open and honest about how I'm feeling is always really a positive thing. And people are always like, oh, it's very brave to be vulnerable. I don't personally think it's brave. I think more people need to do it, because the more people that are vulnerable means vulnerability is one of those things where people feel, I guess, more comfortable being vulnerable. So I'll talk about it anyway. So I've been, I guess having like, I wouldn't say issues, but obviously I have ADHD. I'm medicated for it now, and the medicine, like, I'm on Ritalin for it, which I think there are some benefits to it, but there are obviously some other benefits to it that, no one really likes to be reliant on medication. Like, I'm someone who, as much as I know it helps me, I don't want to be reliant on it. And life will always give and take things. So you can't take something without giving something. So, for example, if for those who don't know, Ritalin is a massive appetite suppressant. It keeps you locked in, less distractions, but you find it's really hard to eat food. And I know this sounds silly, but for me, food is a big part of like what makes me happy. I love eating. Like, it sounds silly, but I love snacks. I get a big buzz out of like eating foods that I enjoy. And I was getting to a point where I was just having like, I felt more anxious. My heart rate was higher. My appetite was gone. I felt like I wasn't enjoying food, which, when something that gives you so much, like, I don't know, dopamine, which is food for me, and you can't enjoy it, it sort of takes away from that. It makes you feel less, I guess, I don't know, less happy. So I've really been like trying to, I guess, like, not wean off, but just lower the amount of like, I guess, medication for ADHD that I'm taking. So I've sort of dosed it down a little bit, and I'm actually like, I guess, feeling mentally better at the moment, which is really cool. Like, because, like I said, no one likes to be reliant on something, and it does play on you a little bit. And I guess if you're feeling like that, if you're sort of like, I don't know, maybe you've been to the doctor and you've been on like medication for a while, and you can feel it sort of, I don't know, just not working as well. Like, I would advocate for trying to, like, talk to your doctor about it. Like, because I didn't. I just kept like keeping my regular dosage, realizing it was making me feel terrible. And so I've sort of weaned off it a little bit. I only take it in the morning now, and I guess it's been a little bit of a transition in terms of like, I have struggled a fair bit with my attention span. I have struggled a lot with trying to stay focused, especially when I'm like editing videos and stuff like that. But it's a small sacrifice, I think, that's important so that overall I feel a lot better. So that's been something that I've been dealing with, and it's something that I think it's important to talk about, because I feel like medication and taking medication for issues like ADHD or, antidepressants or things like that, we don't really talk about that often. And people sort of keep it, I guess, on the down low, making sure that whether it's like I wouldn't say ashamed, but maybe it's not something that they want to tell people. Whereas I think we probably should be open about it. Like, I think we probably should talk about like, hey, I take this stuff. This is what it does. It's important to, I guess, understand what these things do to us, and not just go like, my doctor said I need to take that, so I'll take it, and whatever happens, happens. So yeah, like, I've been feeling really good, but it's also taken a bit of a change. You'll probably notice like my content is like really up and down at times, because I do really struggle with focusing. But on the flip side, like, I find myself now like a little bit more present with the kids, because I'm not, my brain's not going 100 miles an hour of like, I need to do this, I need to focus on this, I need to lock in on this. I'm just like, if it happens, it happens. And I'm a little bit more free flowing with it. So I thought I'd just mention that, because I do, like I said, I do think it's important to talk about those things. And if you're sort of going through that, and you're thinking like, is this stuff really for me? Do I really want to be on this stuff forever? Like, really talk to your doctor about it. Like, actually, like, have a good conversation, or maybe a psychologist, which I very much advocate for you to go see one. They're very, very good. I know it takes time. We've spoken about it before. It takes time to find the one that gels for you, but you just need to be aware that, like, talk to someone about it. Like, we really, as guys, as dads, as men, we need to be more open about talking about these things. We can't just keep it behind closed doors and hope we're okay. But anyway, just sort of get that off my chest and talk about it. So if anyone else is feeling that way, like, they could, I don't know, probably talk to someone about it. And I don't know, what am I? This is a perfect example of me trying to like work out what's going on with my brain. But anyway, So let's go back to parenting. I had a bit of a mishap last week, and I posted a small video about it, but I did want to talk about the whole thing around it. So we had a bit of an issue with a riffraff with the comforter, and like I said, I said in the video, Summer goes to two kindies. Why she goes to two kindies is pretty much the availability at her normal kindy. They don't have any spaces for one specific day, so we decided to go to a different kindy, and the kindy sort of that we moved to, they're very different kindies. One's quite a modern kindy, like in other words, everything's quite new, everything's quite, I don't know, like I wouldn't say like, I think it's just the environment is just a little bit more fabricated, if that makes sense. Like a lot of fake turf, a lot of like man-made things. Whereas the other kindy that she goes to is literally like an old school kindy. Like I'm talking like it's just a massive backyard. You get real grass, sand pits, everything like bikes, and it's really cool. And I think she really does enjoy it. But, obviously it can get very difficult keeping up with two, and obviously she's going to two and working out what's at what kindy. And so we had a bit of an issue the other day. She has a riffraff, and when your kids go through like phases, like they won't even fucking bother with a toy for so long, and then all of a sudden like they'll find the toy and they'll be obsessed with it for like no reason other than like this is new again. So she's found her riffraff, and they're really nice toys. And I think the thing about the riffraff that like we made it kind of even worse is it's the riffraff. If you know what a riffraff is, it's one of those. I did an ad for them not long ago. I love riffraffs. It's one of those ones that when they approached me, I was like, hell yeah, I use this anyway. This sounds like a great collab. But it's a little teddy bear, and it's got Summer's name on it. And one of the reasons why we like the riffraff is Skylar's go on and Summer's go on, and it was like the first toy that we kind of bought for them, which is really cool. So there's like a little bit of like a sentimental value to it. Like whenever going to get rid of those toys, like they're going to be the toys that we sort of keep. And we have as like I guess a memento of our daughters being young, and it's got their names on it. So Summer's been obsessed with it, and she took it to kindy. Now I think, and this one's on me. Okay. So I am a sucker for like my youngest daughter, Summer, she's got big, beautiful eyes. And every time she wants something, I say this is both my daughters, to be fair. This is the ultimate dad thing. If you have daughters, they just look at you, Dad, please. And it's just like, oh, fine, I love you so much. Sounds good. All right, we can do that. And so I let her take the comforter, the riffraff to kindy. Now, Summer's usually pretty good at remembering where things are. But one thing we've found with Summer is, and it's very different to my eldest daughter. So my eldest daughter, Skylar, if there's something, she will speak up when she feels like something bad is happening to her. So for example, if someone took something from her, or if someone, grabbed something that was hers and she didn't want them to take it, she would speak up about it. She'd either have a go at the person or go tell the teacher. Summer, who's more of my quiet daughter and very much like me, not someone who sort of goes out of the way to sort of, like, I'll be honest, I barely, like if my meal from a restaurant comes out wrong, there's a very low chance that I'm going to actually say anything about it. Usually I'll just take it and be like, you know what, it is what it is. Whereas my partner, Kia, she's like, no, that's not what you ordered. I'm going to go say something. Skylar, Summer, me. So what we think's happened is, and it's no fault of the kids at all. So Summer's obviously been playing with the comforter. There's a lot of toys at kindy. I think another kid's come along, seen the toy, started playing with it. And of course, Summer, because Summer said someone else took it, and she obviously didn't say anything about it. So she's come home at night, said, I really want my riffraff. And we said, where is it? She goes, it's at kindy. And we're like, Dal, what do you want us to do? It's still there. Why didn't you sort of tell us when we were at kindy that you'd lost it? And because she can communicate very well, but obviously she's still 3. And so we're like, shit, she's lost the comforter. And of course, me and Kia and I were like, we need to get that one back. Like that's something that I'm not going to just be like, oh, well, you've lost it, because it means so much to us. So call kindy, all good. Riffraff is there. Beautiful. We've sorted it. Summer, tomorrow morning, we're going to go past that kindy on your way to the new kindy. We'll pick up the riffraff, but this time we're going to keep the riffraff with us. Okay. Now, Kia did the drop off or the pickup of the toy and then the drop off at kindy. Now, Summer as we've said, has been very difficult recently, like trying to like get her to go to kindy. Like I know she has a great time when she's there, but she's in that phase now where like everything is an issue. So like we go, where am I going today? You're going to kindy, darling. I don't want to go to kindy. Okay, well, no matter what the answer to that question was, you wouldn't want to do it anyway. So get to the point where we're like, okay, we've just picked up the riffraff. What are the odds that that she's gonna leave it there again? Anyway, as I said in the video, most people think lightning doesn't strike twice. If you're a parent, it absolutely strikes twice. Like you are going to have issues come up that you're just like, holy shit, I cannot believe I have to deal with this issue. This wasn't even an issue this morning, and now it's become a large portion of my day. And of course, that then happened because we get home again that day. I pick Summer up. It's kind of my fault. I didn't realize she had the riffraff. I thought maybe we wouldn't give it to her that day. Kia's like, nah, she was a nightmare this morning. I just gave her the riffraff so she had something to sleep with. We left the riffraff there again. So for the second day in a row, and you got to remember too, the residual effect of this is now she doesn't want to go to sleep. And it's now like, 6 p.m. And now we're going, well, we can't get it. Kindy's closed. So we're going to have to go the night without it. She realizes that she can't get it till tomorrow. And so like the next hour of our life is just like, I want the riffraff. We don't have it. I want the riffraff now. Once again, there's nothing we can do, Summer. Holy shit. Do you want another one? No. Well, we're going to have a problem tonight, aren't we? The same problem we had the night before. And anyway, so we tried to do the whole like chat. Where is it? Do you know where it is? I don't know where it is. She's once again, the same situation's happened. She's left the toy in the play area. Another kid's picked it up, started playing with it. She has no idea where it is. So there was a little bit of lost communication there. Anyway, I pick it up the next day, and then all of a sudden we are, dealing with, we got to go back to kindy. So we go back to kindy, get the riffraff, and it was one of those things where if you just want the day, it's like you just want the day to end. You just want the day to finish. You just want to get home and get sorted. And it's just a compounding thing that you now have to deal with. It's kind of like when you realize you've just had a massive day, you pick the kids up, you get them home, it's all good. And then you go, holy shit, check the fridge. We don't have any dinner. There's nothing in the fridge. So now we're going to have to go to the shops and deal with that. And then we get home and now we're off. It's just a compounding residual effect of it's just a shit show. So anyway, it was one of those things where you just think, you're like, just when you think life, or just when you think the parenting life is like giving you a favor, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, you're having a chill week. How good? No. It's like, here's another problem you have to deal with. And then you got to deal with that problem. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God, this chill week has turned into a hectic week. And you're just like, holy shit. Oh my God. The parenting situation just gets worse and worse. So, it's one of those things where and it always happens when you're just not feeling the best. So I wasn't feeling that great at the end of the last week, and I had to do all these things, and you can feel the frustration building up, and it's no one's fault besides, it's just a series of unfortunate events. And I just want to sort of say, like, I struggle in those situations too. Like I'm still like, I can jump on here and talk about the parenting stuff and talk about what I've learned as a parent. But to be completely honest, I fight my irritability every day, every single day. Like I love my daughters more than like life itself, right? But they fucking test me every day. Every day they test me in some way or another. And I find it every day that I need to go, hey, take a chill, relax. Hey, relax. Hey, dude, don't react to that. Hey, chill. And that's pretty much my brain majority of the time. So, and I know a lot of people sort of punish themselves for feeling that way. Like that is such a normal response, right? Like when something annoying happens, to feel that irritability build up is so normal. Like you're not weird for having that happen. And I know a lot of people sort of reflect on it and they go, why am I like that? Why am I irritable? It's not about like, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way, but it's the way we react to it. And I've said this before, like we are in charge of our own emotions, and our kids see us dealing with our own emotions. Like my daughters know when I'm frustrated. And the reason I know that my daughters, and I'm talking my youngest daughter who's 3.5, she knows when I'm feeling irritable. And I've noticed her tell when she can tell that I'm irritable is she comes over to me. It's really, really sweet. She'll just randomly go like, "You're the best daddy in the whole wide world." Right? She'll say that to me. It's beautiful. It's so nice. But it's also a reminder to me that, hey, dude, you're clearly visibly irritated right now. Like your kids can see it. And I don't know if you've ever had irritated parents. For example, like, my parents, they're great. Like they never did anything bad. But my dad was definitely someone where he would sort of, and my mum, to be fair, they would sort of externalize their irritability, right? And you felt like you almost felt nervous kind of talking to them in the moment, right? You felt nervous that you were next. And I think it's heartbreaking for me sometimes when I can see my daughters looking at me in that same way. Like it really hurts because I never want my daughters to feel like they can't talk to me. And if I'm putting on this like irritable persona or this external, like you can see it sort of coming out of me, and whether in my body language or the way I'm speaking, or whether, little things like, oh, maybe I'm really short with the kids. And, it's heartbreaking when you know that they haven't done anything wrong, but they can sense that you're irritable, and they're kind of treading on eggshells around you because you want your house to be a safe space, right? You want your kids to feel like they can be themselves. And if they're sort of like not being themselves because they can feel that you're getting angry, like that sucks. And that's really like, to look at it, that's our fault. That's our fault as parents. Like if we're giving that sort of vibe to our kids and they're sort of tiptoeing around us, like that's our fault. So one thing I've sort of done, and I think it's important to do, is nowadays, like now I sort of, especially with Skylar, who's a little bit older, I make it a point that I will actually talk to Skylar about my feelings and just tell her, hey, Daddy's had a really tough day at work today. Daddy's had a really rough day at work. A lot of the kids that he teaches were really hard to deal with today. He had a little bit of an argument with somebody at work as well. And he's come home and he's really, really busy. And now I'm feeling a little bit annoyed because you're not doing what I would like you to do, which is, get your clothes and put them in the wash. And I'm actually really, it's something that I feel like is really simple, and I should have been doing it earlier. But my eldest daughter, Sky, really does so well with understanding when I explain to her why I'm feeling a certain way. And I think it's because I've been doing it so frequently. So, it's really interesting because I feel like in our generation, our parents never really told us why they were mad. Like they would just come home and be angry, and you'd be like, have I fucking done something? Like what's the problem? So I think, being transparent with your kids about why you're feeling the way you're feeling, like it's never a bad thing. Like the two things that come out of it, one, your kids understand that, hey, it's not them. They're not the reason why you're mad. You might be getting annoyed at them because they're not doing something, but the kids realize they're like, hey, I'm not the one right now. I'm not the reason why he's irritable. I'm just sort of just here and I did something wrong, and that's why they've reacted that way. But also, if you're speaking about your feelings to your kids, what do you think they're going to do for you? Like, they're going to start talking about their feelings to you. Hey, Dad, I'm not feeling like this. And it happened with Skylar the other day. She said to me, she goes, Dad, I really don't feel like going to soccer training tonight. And I said, why? And she's like, I just feel tired and I feel sad. And I said, okay, all right. I really appreciate you telling me that. Well, let's have a night off. And she looked at me like it was like, holy shit, is that all I had to do? Like, he's not even mad about it. I'm like, no, because you told me how you felt. And so it was a really proud moment, I guess, proud dad moment, that she told me how she was feeling and we had a chat about it. And then she was like, okay, sweet. And I don't know, it felt like a good moment as a dad. So I guess it was a dad win. I think talking about our emotions, especially as a man, I think Kia always talks to the girls about her feelings, which I think is like women are way better at doing than I guess men. But I think for us, especially if you have boys, like if you have boys and you're pissed off and they can feel that you're pissed off, don't just accept that, oh, Dad's pissed off, I just need to leave it. Like, tell them why you're pissed off. If something's an issue, like, be direct with them about it, whether they're the reason or they're not the reason. because that is only going to open the door for your son to start talking about the way he feels too, which I think is, we can talk about emotions and how in the old days, like emotions and boys, you don't do that. Dude, one of the strongest things as a man that you can do is be upfront with your emotions and be open about your emotions. Like it's huge. Like, it's one of the things now where like we're not just providers. Like women can do it without us. It's now a new age thing. So you can't just be like, I'm the provider, I do this and that. No, you got to bring something to the table. You got to bring emotional intelligence to the table nowadays. You can't just be a loser. So, if that's something that you're working on, I advocate massively. Like, keep working on it. Even if you're struggling with it, keep working on it. Like, honestly, keep working on it because it's so, so fucking important for our kids. Anyway, I thought I'd end it on that. I think that's a massive dad win. I know I've had messages in the past around people like, other dads working through it, and I'm still massively working. I'm nowhere near a pro at this shit. I'm just learning, and I feel like if I can explain it and I guess be open with the fact that I'm not perfect with it, maybe other people will start doing it too. So, yeah. Guys, you know what it is. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I will finish on that one. Be open. I challenge you this week. Tell your kids how you feel once, whether it's happy, sad, angry. Tell your kids how you feel and see how they react. It might actually surprise you. So, guys, if you want to get into contact with the podcast and you want to send me in some dad wins if you would like. If you just want to get in contact and say, hey, you're doing a good job, I really appreciate those things. I'm trying to make as much content as I can at this moment in time. I really love doing it. I feel like now that the kids are better, I've got more time. I've got more, I guess, inspiration around it because I've got all these things happen. So, yeah, guys, have a great rest of your week and just take care of yourself. See ya.